Toilet paper, a roll of it. I think we all know what it's for. If you may not happen to have any laying around, well, just use yesterday's show because it'll work just the same. Mark Zinno, we've got some work to do here on a Wednesday. After we took Monday off because we did the Sunday selections show. People can still check that out here on
Probably
Wager
a bad
Talk
idea.
TV. And then we did Tuesday. We returned to the airwaves Tuesday, feeling refreshed. We were happy. I thought it was a very good show, quite frankly. And then the picks were given out. They were not good at all. As a matter of fact, they
Yeah.
were ass, I believe is the word
It
I'm looking for.
seems like an inopportune time to turn to complete garbage after the probably what was the best 2-month run of my career. So very not fortuitous right now to be absolute ass. But that's what yesterday was. Hey, look on the bright side. At least I didn't have to watch Georgia Tech shoot like 19% in the second half or 22% for the game, like the other things that have burned me in the ass over the course of the last week. So beyond that, you know, getting the
Well,
handicap completely wrong, I guess there is some merit to it. Because guess what? That handicap was completely wrong. Everything I said, everything I thought, everything I wrote, wrong, wrong, wrong. So
a single part of that breakdown yesterday was accurate, and I will raise you. You were on the wrong side of Georgia Tech. I will raise you my play on San Diego State last night. That didn't go well. And again, there are some of you out there in TV land who may you be laughing, snickering at Mark and I. I will say this, and Mark, I know you agree. I was actually talking. Joe Ranieri even agreed with me privately. He'll admit to agreeing with me. Publicly, he will not admit to ever agreeing with me on anything. But like you said, I prefer just to be dead wrong than be in it the whole way and have it fall apart. And boy, San Diego State was dead wrong. You talk about your team shooting 19%. I don't think North Carolina missed a shot last night. If they
no,
did, I missed it somehow. I blinked or
no.
went to the bathroom when that happened. That was an arse kicking. I have a question for you because I think you may look at it much differently than I. Does
Yes.
Given the history of the Mountain West in this NCAA tournament and how poorly things went for San Diego State last night, are you less inclined to back a team like Colorado State, which is kind of a popular pick against Memphis? Does that
I
have
don't buy
any bearing? Is there any causation for you, if you will?
I don't buy much into narratives. Like, hey, the Mountain West typically stinks in the NCAA tournament, similar to like the Big Ten stinks in bowl games, that aren't like the national championship ones. That narrative was out there for years. But I mean, it's something to consider. There is a reason why the Mountain West teams seem to struggle when they get to the tournament. Save the San Diego State run to the Final Four a couple of years ago. There is a legitimate reason why these teams struggle. It's a style of play thing. It is a um, coaching thing. It is a athlete thing. I think all those things are much more concrete reasons than just to say, "Oh, the Mountain West stinks in the NCAA tournament." Like I can tell you, I am eyeing up a game for a Mountain West opponent for one of my subscriber plays. The clients for the NCAA tournament. You and I have talked several times about this game. The last thing that I have on my mind in that game is, and oh, by the way, the Mountain West seems to stink in the NCAA tournament. That's like the last line of the write up. Like it's
It's just
just, it's a throwaway for me.
the cherry on top, if you will. All
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
Well, Mark and
it
I
has
are
something to do with the meat and potatoes of why I think the team will lose.
it's just sort of a little extra impetus. Okay. For today's double play, Mark and I are going to be talking about both of us talking about the NIT, Xavier and Texas. That game in the first four will be our show best bet. Mark, you're up first.
Can I,
You and I
can I
will
do the
actually
intro?
both.
Can I do the intro? Hey, we're going to talk about the NIT tonight. We're going to try not to suck as bad as we did yesterday. See, you like to
Certainly
tiptoe
the
into
goal.
these things. I just like to kick the door down. Yeah. I am more of like Leonidas in the beginning of 300. This is Sparta, and just kick the door open.
Still haven't forgiven you for the way that Sunday show opened when you started yelling at me like I was supposed to be leading the
Well, the
brigade
same
at
thing
Normandy.
happened again today. I'm telling you, there's something wrong technologically on your end. The first 8 words of what you said with toilet paper in your hand never got over the air. Period.
I,
Because I
I
didn't
did.
hear them.
Okay. Well, maybe you should open your ears.
No,
Let's talk
it was a
about UAB and St. Joe's, Mark. I know
a
this is your half
blazer.
of the double play. UAB, a dragon breathing fire. They, of course, were just in action Sunday. A lot of people liked UAB against Memphis in that American final. They obviously did not get it done because they're in this tournament. But you think there is value backing the Blazers. You can get 5.5 still at DraftKings, and that's what you're going to
I
do.
love saying it like that. It's very annoying. Just want you to know that. DraftKings. Anyway, let's look at this matchup here. UAB is all about offense. And for the most part, their offense held up their end of the bargain in that American Athletic Conference Championship final against Memphis. They actually had a lead at half in that game, 35-32. Their defense, they scored more points in the second half than they did in the first half. Their defense proceeded to give up 52 second half points and lost a chance to go to the NCAA tournament and steal a bid from a really crappy team like Texas and North Carolina, who didn't belong in this tournament. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, look, and that was a game that was a 2-point game, with about 6 minutes left, and it just fell apart for the Blazers. I think that's the motivation angle for them here. They're kind of pissed off that they, gave up their chance to go to the NCAA tournament. I mean, and I think they come out and I think their offense really runs away with this thing here. The other thing to look at in this game too, while I'm just throwing it out there, with this high total, if you want to feed into it, UAB's defense isn't all that good. So, but I'm willing to take the points with the UAB offense here that they can keep this thing close. But their defense probably won't stop St. Joseph's all that much. This should be a track meet going back and forth. High scoring brings a little bit more variance in. So let's take the points here with UAB tonight.
That says take the points with UAB. Smash that like button if you agree. Let us stay in the NIT. I'll also be talking about a team that was just in action Sunday, although, unlike Mark, I will be fading the team that was just in action Sunday because they are favored. Let's take a look at Samford versus George Mason, 7 p.m. Eastern. This boils down to just a couple of things for me, so we'll try to keep it both short and sweet. Samford has not played, Mark, since March. I don't know if you looked at the calendar today, but it is March 19th, as a matter of fact.
It is
Early exit for Samford. Yes, an early exit from the SoCon tournament for the Bulldogs. This is a team, Samford, our very good friend Aaron Kidd, who knows the SoCon about as well as anybody, thought could win that tourney, but they were one and done. Believe it or not, the Bulldogs, they played just 2 games in March and lost them both. It was a high scoring affair that they played on March 1st against UNC Greensboro in UNC Greensboro's home finale. So in the last 18 days, Mark, Samford's played just 1 game. I am anticipating them to come out pretty motivated tonight. They figured they were going to be in one of these lesser tournaments. I think they're eager to take the floor. On the flip side, George Mason, they made it all the way to the finals of the A10 tourney. That final was just played on Sunday. A very hard-fought loss to rival VCU. Being that close to an automatic berth to the NCAA tournament, getting it ripped away, and then having to play in the NIT 3 days later, I think that's a bad spot for the Patriots. Not saying they won't win tonight, but I certainly do not see them winning by margin. Lastly, Circa, I believe to be a reputable sports book, has already moved to +6, line open +7. We could still grab +6.5 pretty much everywhere else. Samford plus the points is my half of the double play. Comment down below
I
with
don't
your
even know what
thoughts.
Sanford is.
We've been over this. It's in Alabama. It's not very far from you. We're just 1 state over. You probably drive by it on that drive to
I know where
military
I know
land.
where UAB is. I've actually been on that campus. Ask me why I've been
Oh,
on that campus.
Zinno, why have you been on the campus of UAB, which is in Birmingham,
Uh,
everybody?
no, that's not the reason. Not the college co-eds or the hot dogs. No, my military unit is stationed in Birmingham, and we conduct our physical fitness test. We use the track at UAB to run our 2 miles.
I don't think I would do very well on that test personally. I'm just going to
No,
throw
it's
that out
you
there.
know what they made it. They made it very. I'm not looking for. I got to do it the first weekend in April again, and my old body is not looking forward to it.
You run 2 miles. What else do you have to do? Give
There's
me one
6
thing that
events.
can make it.
You may as well enter the freaking decathlon. Like it's 6 events. They went from push-ups, sit-ups, 2 mile run to this just cockamamie. Like, you know, there's a deadlift. You have to throw a medicine ball. You have to drag a sled 90 yards and then do it 5 times, and then then you do these
Oh,
push-ups and then you do a plank and then you got to run. It's very annoying.
tired just listening to that.
CrossFit
Well, I can't
nerds
imagine
took
doing it.
over. Right. CrossFit nerds took over and they decided to make the Army's physical fitness test CrossFit oriented and things of that nature.
You don't like that. You don't like that. Okay. It's very
I don't,
interesting.
I don't like.
There's so many
I
things.
don't like guys who throw chalk everywhere and grunt for no reason and slam weights down. I don't like that. That's all CrossFit dudes do. Just put some chalk on,
There's
pat our hands like LeBron James, and you know, and if you just throw the weights down really hard and grunt, "Argh!" that means
you
you're
know
cool in the gym.
that's what CrossFit was. I learned something new each and every day. The viewer, by the way, can here's something new. A new special offer at WagerTalk, Mark. You can get up to 16 days free if you buy today. We will give you the rest of March free, and you get all of April as well. Of course, that's just a 1 month pass. April, $299. Mark, April, obviously right around the corner. You and I were speaking off air. That's of course the start of the baseball season. NBA playoffs. You and I will be turning the page in that direction. So, good way to get on board long term there. You buy April for $299. We'll throw in the rest of March for free. So, obviously, the sooner you buy this package, the more plays you will get. There you go. All right, show best bet time. It is the NCAA tournament, Xavier and Texas. Mark, you had a salient point off air that I happen to agree with. That while there was a lot of focus on North Carolina, perhaps not deserving to be in the field of 68, they certainly are a higher rated team at Ken Palm than Texas is. They're actually a higher rated team than Xavier is for that.
Texas, no. If North Carolina had no business being in this tournament, Texas had no business even being mentioned in the same sentence as this tournament. You talk about like, the quad one wins, and everybody focuses on those, and I suppose that's a thing if you follow along. And Texas was 7-10, but all of their wins, other than two wins against Texas A&M, all of their other wins were against very flawed SEC teams. Oklahoma, Missouri, blah, Vanderbilt, blah, Mississippi State, blah, right? Like, and the only other real good win I think that they have was over Kentucky. Like, that was a always a tournament team from the beginning of the year, even though their defense stinks. I
5%
say all
play
that
for
to
me.
say, yeah, that's right. I say all that to say that Texas was 3-5 this year in quad two games, meaning that they lost to even worse opponents. Forget going 7-10 when they lost to quad two opponents. Well, that tells you all you need to know. Because you can't lose to South Carolina and say you're a tournament team. You can't. South Carolina was terrible this year. They won two conference games, and you were one of them that they lost. You know my respect for the Big East. And even though Sean Miller, the head coach of Xavier, looks like an angry accountant, this is a very good three-point shooting team. Sixth in the nation, as a matter of fact, in three-point shooting. And they make a ton of free throws, eighth in the nation in free throw shooting. They shoot the lights out. They're going to get beat on the glass, and they're probably, going to get banged around inside a little bit by a Texas team that has a little bit more side than athleticism. But I don't think Texas can stop them on the perimeter. And that's ultimately the difference here. Xavier, money line, they are a much better team than Texas. Probably had a much better case to be in the tournament. And when you look at like the net rankings and Ken Palm and everything else, even though Xavier is below them, I think some of that is based off of their non-conference schedule. They went 1-9 against quad one teams, which, oh, by the way, is basically St. John's, Marquette were four of those games where they lost 3 to Marquette and 2 to St. John's. So, but they were 8-2 against quad two opponents. So I think they're a much deeper, much better team.
Okay, Xavier, that is your show best bet. We think they are moving on. Remember, before that, why everyone remembers the end, obviously, of the Xavier Marquette Big East tournament game, Mark, because it happened to affect the point spread. Xavier hitting that miracle heave from half court to cover the number. But they were up by 14 in that game, people forget. And before going into that game, they won their final 7 games of the regular season. So, yeah, Texas is a team that I strangely cashed 2 5% plays on. That's not a team that you would look back and think, oh wow, I cashed 2 5% plays with Texas, given how inconsistent they were. I did, but yeah, I'm with you. Obviously, show best bet is Xavier. Again, smash that like button if you agree. Comment down below with your thoughts. We did not hit Mount St. Mary's American. Very difficult game for me. 2 of the 4 luckiest teams in America per Ken Palm. So somebody's luck is going to continue,
You hate
and one
American.
will run out.
You hate
They
American.
might actually be the right side tonight. Anyway, that will do it
In the
for
crazy
us.
belief.
Mhm. Yes, it is. I will be on WagerTalk today, later this morning, by the way.
Nobody cares. Part of the reason why Mount St. Mary's is here is because Iona in the championship final shot 31% from the field and 21% from three. They were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. And then
Good.
they fired their coach.
Yes. Who was the Fairleigh Dickinson coach? When you and
Yes.
I had Adam
Old
Trigger
strategy.
and CT Betts and Guns Picks and Aaron Kidd and Keith all of our friends, we all cashed FDU against Purdue. All right. That was 2 years ago. I can't believe it. I've been talking to you for 2 years. What a time to be alive.
Man, we should celebrate.
Is there any, is there
I
anything
don't know
else you'd
how.
like to say before we say goodbye?
Now,
Does
get a damn
entice
game
anyone to
right,
buy your
Bruce.
picks?
Get a damn game right.
We need to do that. That's what we need to do. For 3 weeks, you and I both hit 70%. The last week, it's been going the wrong way. We turned it around tonight. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
I know Tristan lies.
Cash the ticket.
Mark Zinno cashes tickets. Always come up back.